Hello Internet, I'm me, and this is Tokumei Sentai Go and Kamen Rider Wizard. Which, yes, I'm coming back to the two episodes, because, again, I've caught up, but something is a bit miss here, because mostly, both Kamen Rider Wizard and Go Busters really didn't have, I'm not going to say too much happening in them, but they were more simplistic in these episodes. And simply because they're so simplistic, there's not too terribly much to talk about in the general sense. In character growth, oh, there's an ass load, but in more of a general sense, both these episodes in a plot summary or overview are very simple, very plain. But once you get deeper, that's where the episodes actually start to shine, which I really do like about both these episodes. Let's start off with Kamen Rider Wizard because it's actually probably the more interesting, but a lot, again, more simple. Kamen Rider Wizard has been fighting the Phoenix Phantom, but the Phoenix Phantom has been kicking his ass. So, after losing against the Phoenix Phantom, the Dragon Phantom inside Kamen Rider Wizard actually wakes him up from, well, drowning. So, of course, Kamen Rider Wizard gets taken to a hospital along with Hiroki and Hiroki's mom. And of course, Hiroki is feeling really bad about his mom being hurt, and Kamen Rider Wizard is doing his best to do anything right now, and is trying desperately to figure out a way to beat the Phoenix Phantom this time, so that he can actually come back, kick ass, take names, and save the day. And he is desperately trying to figure this out, even though he is running almost dead dry on mana, and realizes that, oh my gosh, the mom wasn't the gate. He's trying to the Phantom is actually trying to mess with Hiroki, who is the gate, and try to get him to despair by killing his parents, which is pretty dark. So, of course, the Phantom goes after Hiroki's dad, who's driving home, and in a really kind of cheesy, but kind of cool, kind of creative way of showing how strong a Phantom is, has the Phoenix Phantom kicking a car and sending it flying by just kicking it, which was pretty cool. Even though it's of course obvious, like the car stops and like the suit actor kicks the side of the car, and then they have a stunt car drive around, but I still liked how they did it. It's a really cool way to do it without CGI and a really cool way to do it with cross-cutting. But of course, the Phantom attacks Hiroki's father, but Kamen Rider Wizard, still weakened, comes in with his hurricane form, fights off the Phantom for a brief minute, just enough to grab the father and fly back all the way to the hospital, to where, of course, Hiroki's father and mother are now needing to have hospital assistance, but of course, Haruto has really no way of actually protecting them anymore because he's now completely dried out of mana for another Henshin and flying and using the new Extend spell. So, back at the hospital, Haruto actually has a very kind of disturbing dream of the Phantom coming in, killing Hiroki's parents, and Hiroki just busting out and just turning into a Phantom right there, which is a really effective dream sequence because they never let you know it's a dream sequence. They actually let you think it's happening, and it is quite kind of like disturbing. And for the first time, we actually do get to see what Haruto really feels like. Through this whole time, Haruto has always played it cool, like, he's the cool Shonen Jump character who never really gets angry or sad. But now we actually get to see a lot of fear inside Kamen Rider Wizard, and we get to see why he's really afraid of not only Haruki's parents or him, or it's that if he loses here, he could lose possibly every other battle and watch people die across the board everywhere around him. So he's really taking the pressure of being Kamen Rider Wizard and pretty much suppressing it with that feel good attitude, which comes into play later. So, of course, Haruto gets this new ring that allows him to tap into the power of the Dragon Phantom inside of him, which will give him his new upgraded fire form. And of course, he tries to. The Phantom finally gets there to the hospital, which he hadn't been at for a while. Sorry about that. And the Phantom gets there. They fight, and Haruto actually tries to access the power of the dragon, but the dragon won't let him, trying to get Haruto to actually just fall in despair instead by taking Haruto inside of his own mind and making him relive the death of his parents. But Haruto pretty much brushes off the whole fall into despair because your parents are dead. Because he's like, yeah, but I'm also their last hope. So, kinda can't give up. So, of course, the dragon pretty much is saying, if you use my power, you're just going to fall into more despair. And Haruto pretty much points out, not really, because your power is what gives me hope for winning this battle. So I'm not going to fall into despair. And of course, the dragon's kind of like, oh yeah, okay, because you kind of bested me there. Let's see how much you can take, and you can use my power at will. Let's see how you do this. And of course, Haruto henshins, kicks ass, takes names. Haruki's parents are fine, and they live the family lives better and happier. While of course the Phoenix isn't dead, he isn't. But the fight scene with the Phoenix and the upgraded Kamen Rider Wizard form is freaking sweet. It's a pretty cool thing to see, even though I could have seen a bit more of skill in there, more with the double swords. Even though don't get me wrong, it's really cool. But I actually kind of was interested in seeing what the spells would have looked like in that upgraded form, because his upgraded form allows him to copy his sword gun into two of them. I wanted to see what he could do with like the defend spell or the smell spell. Hell, even the sleep spell. Could he actually shoot sleep at somebody instead of making them put on the ring? I was just really curious at what the spells could do in that upgraded form, but we might see that later on. So, pretty much, this episode is a good 9 out of 10, showing a lot of actual character development along with this new power up. Of course, we all knew the power up was going to work one way or another. We all saw it in the previews. But the fact that this was actually character driven power instead of just whole, well, here's a new thing, have new power, is showing that Kamen Rider Wizard is actually growing as a show. And unlike Kamen Rider 40, where I thought, they'll establish the characters and then grow from there, they have actually done that. They have established the characters, now we're growing, which I actually like. And of course, the Kamen Rider Wizard tapping into the dragon's power instantly shot Naruto flashbacks in my mind about how Naruto used the Kyuubi's power to power himself up and such like that. So it's not terribly creative, and of course, again, it's terribly simple, but it's the character pieces that really sell this episode, and the acting is actually pretty good with it. Showing a lot of good fear and terror from Haruto, and actually showing a lot of character growth in Hiroki, who actually does believe that Kamen Rider Wizard can fight, even though he might lose, he will not stop fighting. So, on to Tokumei Sentai Go Busters. Tokumei Sentai Go Busters, this episode, I almost threw it in the filler pile halfway through watching it, because it's mostly an episode about the Buddy Roids, Usada, Nick, and the gorilla. I never remember his name, but I only remember Usada and Nick. The gorilla always, who, again, probably the reason I don't remember his name is because he doesn't do much. But, they all are, like, well, mostly Usada and the gorilla. Okay, mostly Usada at first. Is feeling a bit jealous um, that the Go Busters are really paying more attention to like the new lion, the Leo main lion coming in, and they're studying him, and he can do all this cool stuff, and what about us, and blah blah blah. And of course, the Go Busters were fighting and escape, not enter, escape, and they wanted the power customs, but because Buddy Roids were in maintenance, they couldn't do it. So of course, Yoko kind of says, well, if you guys aren't in maintenance, we could have had our power customs and kicked Escape's ass. And they would have probably destroyed her, but which is supported later. But of course, it's Usada and Nick and the gorilla getting all riled up about, oh, they're not paying enough attention to us. And of course, Jay comes in and makes things even worse because, he's Jay. And actually gets them to go on strike. And we find out, and this is what kept this out of the filler pile in my mind. It's the fact that Nick actually points out that, well, two things. First, we find out that the Leo driving kit that turns into the Leo Blaster um, actually can sense the Entron signature, which the computers can't sense anymore. So it can notice when a Megazord's about to pop out of hyperspace. It can notice when one of the Messiah seeds is being born because it's so subtle energy, but he can sense it. So the main lion is actually a lot more useful. And there's even a little joke about how it's like, that thing is doing our job for us about the whole sensing. But of course, after the Go Busters go out with Stag and Beatbuster to go fight this bulldozer motherfucker who can block every move, just like in Gokaiger where you had that guy with the impenetrable shield, but instead of creating a new gun to destroy him, kinda. You pretty much just have the Buddy Roids realizing that the reason they're spending so much time on the main lion is because, one, it's new. They have no idea what it is, so they're studying it as much as possible. And two, that the main lion is usually probably lonely. He had his creator killed. The creator's daughter only used him for a weapon, and the fact that he doesn't, even though the main lion is a Buddy Zord, it doesn't have a counter. It doesn't all have a permanent counterpart. It doesn't have like Nick has Hiromu, or the gorilla has Ryuji, or Usada has Yoko, but he has no one. So it actually shows yeah, they all feel, and they keep forgetting that even the giant emotional lion can feel too. So even though he doesn't talk like them, he feels too, and they decide to go into battle to help out because they are lucky enough to have somebody, and they shouldn't make the lion feel lonely because he's new. They should be helping him integrate into the team to help everyone out, even the lion, which was a good character growth because it shows that these characters do get jealous and these characters do have stupid reasons to do things, even though they end up circling around and learning something about it and helping out. And of course, they get the power customs, kick ass, take names. Ryuji gets his power custom finisher, which Yoko has the rabbit kick. Hiromu has the volcanic attack, and Ryuji now has this pretty freaking sweet ability where he makes his hand go into the gorilla fist, cyber gorilla fist, and punch the fuck out of somebody. Pretty much ending Escape almost on his own, which was pretty badass in my book, showing that the Go Busters are getting really fucking powerful, and they are going to keep getting more powerful. And the funniest thing is they haven't even combined their powers yet, so this isn't the strongest they can be. So of course they destroy the Megazord, and of course we get this awesome new thing where we get Usada and the gorilla merging with main lion, to create a new Zord. Though Nick can't do it yet, so that'll be later. But of course, they all combine, kick ass, take names, and the episode ends with everybody being happy and laughing. So this episode was more of an 8 out of 10 or 7.5 out of 10. It went from an average episode, and at the end, it kicked itself up to make itself a better episode. but not too much. So it's a good 7.5 out of 10. It has a few things that are crucial to the storyline, like the whole sensing and the main lion's abilities and the lion blaster. But other than character development, not much else is actually established in this episode. So again, 7.5, not too much really. But I did like both of these episodes, and I found them both really entertaining. I'll have links in the bottom, or if you don't know how it works, go to my last videos for Kamen Rider Wizard and Go Busters, and there are links in the description for something a bit better than I usually put on the links description. So, until next time, y'all, peace.